Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov chess channel and welcome to a truly amazing game from the TCEC season 28 Superfinals between the two most powerful chess engines in the world, between Stockfish 17 and Lc0. So the TCEC season 28 finished last week. We know the winner of this new season. It's of course the most powerful chess engine in the world, Stockfish 17. Stockfish dominated over Lila with a clear result after 100 games they played. It was plus 15 for the fish, so Stockfish gained 57.5 points against the 42.5 points that Lc0 gained only in this super final. I think a deserved win, although there were some pairings in which Lc0 managed to win the game with the white pieces, but then also drew the games with the black pieces. So it's not like Stockfish is better in any opening, any position than Lila. But the organizers had, of course, many positions that they set up that the engines had to play, and Stockfish was much better than the second best chess engine in the world, than Lc0. So I sorted out. Now, again, a spectacular game in a crazy Caro-Kann defense. Put your seatbelts on. I want to also point you out here that Stockfish, in the same pre-arranged opening that you see now, managed to squeeze a draw with the black pieces. Let's see now how Stockfish is handling the Caro-Kann with the white pieces. So the fish opened here with the move e4. The Lila's response was c6. The Caro-Kann, we have knight to f3 after d5, knight to c3, and bishop to g4. We have now the so-called Mindeno variation, in which black is having, I think, here a clear idea. Black is trying to attack the knight, pin the knight here against the queen, and then lock the center with the move e6. So the most important thing about this move order is to keep the bishop outside of the pawn chain. A potential e6 move here would simply be too passive. So that's why first of all the bishop out, and then after move h3 that Stockfish played here, Lila took. It seems so that it's risky maybe to give up the bishop pair in the early stage of the opening, but you have a clear plan. You have now this solid structure, e6. You still have, I think, great chances with your knight. Bishop to d6 is very dangerous. The knight is coming into the game. And what's also worth to mention, although white has the bishop pair, it's really unclear how to activate this bishop pair, because the queen is not going to stay there forever on f3. The bishop will still have a tough time to include itself into the game, maybe through Discord, maybe through some fianchetto ideas, but it's really not sort of a powerful bishop pair that Stockfish is having in the beginning. So far, a good trade of pieces by Lc0. Bishop to e2 by Stockfish. Now Lila develops, and now castling. Now we have bishop to e7, and after rook to d1, we have now the last move that was prearranged by the organizer. The organizer set up this position for both engines that they had to play. As I mentioned, Stockfish in the reverse game in this particular position managed to get a drawish outcome. So a better choice instead of b5. We have to mention it, of course. We want to practice some theory. It's not to play the move b5. It's simply to proceed here with d4. But then again, knight to b1 is going to happen, and now black should probably go for a static position like with e5, maybe with c5, trying to have a nice cemented position in the center of the board, a nice blocked position in the center of the board, because black has the knight. And when you have the knights on the board against the bishop pair, you want to have a more static, a more immobile structure in the center of the board. So that's why here it was a chance maybe with e5, c5, maybe also with ideas like h5 here. To play h5, I think is very important in some lines, because white could go really aggressive into the game with g4, g5 and similar stuff in this line. That wasn't, of course, here the continuation of the game, but we want to, of course, to practice some theory. Let's see now the continuation after move b5 here that Lc0 plays. Stockfish continues now with e5, knight to d7, and now d4, cementing simply the center. We have now castling, and now bishop to d3, and now the bishop pair is a little bit different. It's not the same position that we have discussed earlier, where you don't have such a clear plan where to go with the bishops. Now the bishop pair is a really great one, with both bishops targeting simply towards the king side, with the queen already there, and with some maybe progressive plans, maybe later rook lifts. Of course, Stockfish loves the rook lifts, of course, the signature move by the fish. So rook to d3, rook to g3, and similar stuff. I see really here a nice attacking formation for white. Here Lila continued with b4, Stockfish escapes, and now c5. Perfect plan here for black. Black, of course, tries now somehow to open the position on the queen side to put more pressure here with the move c4. Stockfish is forced to play c3 because c4 was coming, and that here Lila simply developed knight to c6, queen to g4. And you see now, already tricky position. The main threat is obviously here to move bishop to h6, which is hard to defend. You have to play rook to e8. Every other move is not so powerful. G6 would already weaken the structure too much in front of Black's king, so that's why rook to e8 by Lila. Now Stockfish continues with the brilliant plan with the move h4. This is, I think, really beautiful move, because if you play bishop to h4, this wasn't playing the game, but it's not possible to actually take this pawn. Then you get a simple idea, g3, you have to step back, now king to g2, and now simply the rook is coming, too much pressure here. Look at this, too much attacking pieces that are attacking Black's king. You're trying maybe, I don't know, to lock the position, but now look at this, knight to f4 is coming. I've analyzed just one line, you can even sack the knight here. Look at this, the position is collapsing. Even if you try h takes g6 here, bishop to g6, look at this, whatever you do, it's game over for Black. You don't have to play, of course, the game like this, the same line that I've shown you now, but the point is that you simply cannot take the bishop because of g3, king to g2, and rook to h1. Devastating position for Black. So after h4, what should you do? You could maybe try rook to b8 to continue the pressure here, but Lila had a different idea in mind. Lila tried to be more progressive on this side of the board, try to do some damage, because there is now a great attack already here. Maybe also this knight could be included in the attack. So far, Lila is hoping to get a counter-attack on the queen side. Stockfish continues now with the plan that we have discussed. Bishop to h6. Lila covers the g7 square, and now Stockfish advances the pawn. And that's exactly how you play in this block positions in the center of the board. The center is blocked, and the pawns are always showing us the direction of the attack, so you don't wait here, you don't lose any time, any precious time anymore. You just push the position to the limit. Who is faster on the attack will probably win the game. So here Lila gets out of the g-file attack, and now Stockfish retreats with the idea to continue with h6. Rook from a to b8 here by Lila, and now rook from a to c1. And this was a tiny little tricky move here by the fish. The issue is that you cannot pick up the pawn. If you pick up the pawn here, then you get simple h6, you have to play g6, and then the queen gets endangered. If you get the queen here, then the queen gets trapped. If you get the queen to b3, then again with rook to b1 and a potential knight to c1, again the queen could be trapped. You cannot even play something like this because you're just opening up the file, and the bishop and this rook on a1 are still controlling the back rank. So again, a devastating position for Black. Tricky stuff here by Stockfish, so this pawn so far cannot be taken. Rook to b7. Lila notices, of course, that there are some problems here on the 7th rank, so Lila indirectly so far is targeting these two squares, especially I think the h7 pawn is a weakness. It could be attacked, so when something clears maybe on the 7th rank, then the rook is used, of course, as a great defensive piece. Stockfish continues with an attack against the pawn, forces now reaction by Lila, and now a calm bishop to b1. Now the pawn is protected, now everything is again compact, and what's worth to mention, in this maneuver by both of this rook from a to c1, rook to d1, and bishop to b1, Stockfish still kept the rook connection, which is a very important, I think, element in attacking chance when the rooks are connected. Now the bishop still has a great activity. It's not like the bishop lost any activity because it retreated to b1, so this is a long range piece. Rooks connected, still a progressive plan on the king side. This knight is just waiting to be included into the attack. This bishop is also powerful, the queen is there. Really something is going to happen. Stockfish is cooking here for sure. So after bishop to b1, b takes c3, b takes c, and now queen to c7. Lila is trying desperately now to get more defenders in front of Black's king. Knight to f4, we have now knight to b6 with the progressive idea to get the knight on c4, but Stockfish doesn't care. Stockfish simply continues with rook to e1, and you could maybe try here knight to c4. Seems tempting to go for the bishop on e3, but now this bishop is not so dangerous anymore. I think this bishop is more dangerous, especially against this square h7 in a potential line that I've analyzed at home. Maybe you're trying bishop to d3, knight takes e3, but now you play f takes e3, and it's better to take here with the f pawn instead of the rook, or maybe instead of the queen. Now you still have a nice central grip. You have great powerful control of the pawns. The pawns are still connected, and this block position, especially this pawn on e5, that creates of course a space advantage for white, creates enormous positional problems for black. Now there are ideas again, maybe bishop to b1, queen to c2 somewhere, and similar stuff. So very hard position here then to defend for black. So that's why for rook to e1, here Lila continued with the b file attack. Stockfish continues now with the progressive queen to c2 idea, hitting simply the h7 pawn. And now what should you do? I've analyzed now this idea, c takes d4. You could maybe try, then after c takes d4, maybe knight to c4 now. But look how dangerous really this queen to d3 move is. Even if you cover now, then you can guess what happens. White is going to just sacrifice everything here. The queen is coming, bishop to g7. You pick up this one, then look at this, queen is coming, then the bishop is again coming. You try maybe to take, check. This rook is coming through the f file again. Although up a piece, this is a completely winning position here for white. So c takes d4, I'm pointing with this move out, is simply too slow because of queen to c2. So that's why after queen to e2, with the threat of queen to c2, Lila continued with the most important defensive approach here with queen to c8. It's very important to keep this pawn protected. We have seen in this previous line, when you sacrifice something on g6, then after the deflection of the f pawn from the e6 pawn, this pawn could be vulnerable. So that's why Lila recognizes it and plays now a nice defensive queen to c8. Stockfish continues now with d takes c5. Now the pawn is taking and the knight is hanging, knight to c4. But now Stockfish builds again a powerful defensive structure here, and the issue is now Lila lost a pawn. So you have to now somehow get your pawn back. Here, Lila continued with a6, queen to d3 anyway, forcing now again the move g6. We have now queen to h3. Now the whole concept with h takes g6 is not working. Now you could maybe sacrifice something, but now after rook to g7, as I mentioned, that's the issue about this move, queen to c8. Now these tactics that previously worked are not working anymore because Lila recognized this very powerful attack on light square. So now it's not working. So that's why Stockfish changes simply the direction of the attack, queen to h3, bishop to g7 with a hit on the pawn on e5, and now a beautiful move here by Stockfish, bishop to d3. And this move is actually sort of an indirect defensive move in order to protect the pawn on e5, because look at this, if you try maybe here knight to e5, knight from the 6th rank to e5, then we simply take, and the issue is now if you take with the bishop, then we just sack the knight here again, and now you play calm bishop to c4. Now this bishop is hanging, so there's simply too much overload here around the square e5. You have to now, I don't know, get the queen into the defense. Now just simply continue like this, and in one sequence that I analyzed at home, again, white is this getting this decisive material, and the most important fact here to say is that black's king is endangered. Probably in some lines you have to, I don't know, give up maybe the rook or something in order to survive, in order not to get checkmate. So you cannot even, instead of knight from the 6th rank to e5, you cannot even play bishop to e5, because again we just take here on g6. Now we pick up this one, and now see the bishop is hanging on e5. You have to play something like this, but now there is this Zwischenzug, this in-between attack. This is the beauty about the move bishop to d3, because Stockfish realized the potential here double attack against this heavy artillery. Again, it would be simply game over. So nothing can be done. Bishop to d3, as I said, it's a great defensive resource in order to keep now this e5 protected, in order to keep still the pawn on e5 here. So rook to b2, Lila searches for a different plan. We have now bishop to c4, d takes c4, and now rook to d1, keeping everything glued together. better compact here, and Stockfish still has some great attacking chances on this side of the board. Rook takes a2, Stockfish says who cares, my attack is simply too fast here for you. Queen to h4 leaves now simply this pawn hanging, but now the queen gets more and more activated on this side of the board. Queen to d8, we have now queen to g4, queen to c8, and now comes what is, in my opinion, really a beautiful move. Maybe just for fun, if you want to practice some attacking ideas, try to see now the best idea. I guarantee you there are not so many great moves here for white. It's really hard to find anything here. Very tricky position. Many of us, I think, would mess this up. So just practice. What would you do now in this particular position? You can pause the video, of course. Okay. Here the fish found a beautiful h6. This move is allowing here for bishop to h6 the knight to hop here on h5, and now the knight is again activated. Let's see what happens if you ignore h6. If you play bishop to f8, then there is a problem of bishop to e3. The issue is now this bishop is coming through dark squares here again into the attack. You cannot even pick up here the pawn on e5 because of queen to g5. You're trying maybe to escape again, but now look at this. Now again this knight is coming. You're trying to escape. Knight to f6. What should you do? If you play here king to h8, then bishop to f4 is coming. You have to protect it. Takes. And now look at this. I've just analyzed one line at home. Look at this. If you step back here with the bishop, then there is the problem of rook to e8. Instead of king to h8, for instance, you're trying bishop to f6, queen to f6, and then you're trying this one. Then there is the problem of rook to d6 in order to get rid of the key defender here, and now the bishop is coming into the game. There's nothing that can be done. Again, you can just prolong the game. Look at this, check, and it's again completely lost position here for black. So h6 cannot be met with bishop to f8. That's now Lila's problem. So Lila took, Stockfish plays now this knight to h5, rook to d2, knight to f6, first a check, king to g7, and now again an attack against the bishop. We have now knight takes d4, c takes d4, rook takes d1, rook takes d1, c3. Look at this, Lila is battling here. Lila is finding the only solutions here, but now comes what is, in my opinion, the best move, simply the most powerful move here of this particular game. Again, pause the video and try to see now the winning idea here for white. White moves and wins the game. And please, when you calculate now everything, try to see now the whole sequence. Maybe you will see the first move, but try to really see the whole tactical sequence with every sideline. That's, I think, very important here. Maybe, as I said, we can see the first move, but really not the best then progressive plan. So try to see now this, try to solve now this beautiful endgame puzzle. So what would you do now in this particular position? Okay, here Stockfish found a beautiful move, rook to c1. Just giving up the rook in order to deliver a dangerous check. And this rook to c1 is stopping this very dangerous pawn here. So here Lila took bishop to c1, Stockfish takes now, of course, with the check, and after king to f8, now comes a beautiful follow-up with d5. This is now the most important thing. For instance, if you try check immediately, this is not working because white is not having anything anymore. Black is escaping from this attack. The king is perfectly fine. That's why d5 is very important. If you try something like king to e7 now, then you get d6. You have to play this way and then check, and both of the squares, okay, 3 squares are covered, nothing can be done. It's a beautiful checkmate. So that's why for d5, that's the follow-up that I wanted you somehow to solve. The follow-up is really great. d5, you have to take, and after e takes d5, knight takes d5, again takes the escape route for the king. Now you have to start to march with the king. The Stockfish delivers a check, Lila steps back, a new check. You have to go here to a light square, and now comes the royal fork. That's the beauty about this tactical sequence. Stockfish gave up now the rook, but has now a beautiful winning position. Look at this. Stockfish grabs now this one, goes for the pawn, delivers a check, goes simply for this one, new check, check again, and now Stockfish is fast enough, can stop the pawn on the c file. A very crazy tactical sequence. Let's see now the continuation. It was just a one-way ticket, of course, here. Let's see how Stockfish delivers the checkmate here. Simply included now the king into the game, check, and now after queen to g7, in move 66 here. Stockfish won a beautiful Caro-Kann chess game. So congratulations again to the developers of the Big Fish. Really great performance again. Clear result, I would say, plus 15 in 100 games in AI chess. It's a crazy result. This is classical time format chess. These were long games where the engines had enough time to calculate. You see, still the Fish is the number one. And I think in the next couple events, again, it will be a domination by Stockfish, but we have seen also that there are new engines that are coming. We had really also some surprises, so of course we're going to follow the new TCEC seasons for sure. So thanks for watching this game. I think it was a brilliant one with incredible opening theory and also great middle game tactics and also great end game ideas. So what you say in the end, chess is the best, of course.